Hey everybody, Jen here, Gen X Website Design and Strategy. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to create speech bubbles in Squarespace using some custom CSS. And be sure to watch until the end, where I'm going to share some applications for using speech bubbles to declutter your website. So first, let me give you a little bit of background. I did a Google search, okay? And you could do this too. But I just Googled how to create a pop-up speech bubble in Squarespace with CSS. And I did not watch any of these videos. And funny enough, one of my videos actually showed up, but this is not a video that shows us how to create a speech bubble. It's for how to show Squarespace promotional pop-up image on mobile. But what I did was I basically just copied these codes and I followed these instructions. And you don't have to do this because I'm showing you how to do this. But the first thing I did was I copied this code and I came over to my website and I did what it said. I added a code block just like that. And I selected edit and I pasted it in here. Okay. But this was where I actually went in and I changed this text. So if I hadn't, then this would literally say hover over me. Instead, I changed it to a right pointing arrow and learn more exclamation point. And you can see how that just changed right there. And then you add the custom CSS so that this message is going to show up when you hover. But as you can see, this text right here is really small and this is bigger because I wanted my text to be bigger. So in order to do that, I actually edited this code block and I added H4 here and here. So at the beginning and at the end. And if I wanted H3, I would simply change this to H3. And then I would put this at the very end. So if I make this bigger, you can see exactly what it looks like. What I've done over here is I literally copied and pasted all of this custom CSS into the CSS panel over here. And then I edited it. So that is what I want to show you. So certainly if you did a Google search, this is what you would probably find. And it is actually a great starting point. But what I really wanted to do was change the size of this text. And I wanted to change the color inside the speech bubble. But really, I wanted it to be displayed off to the right. I did a couple of things. Now, if all of your speech bubbles were going to be positioned the same way, then you would just put the code in, you'd edit the code, and you would be done. But as you can see, I have two different scenarios here. I have one with the speech bubble above and one to the right. So that meant I had to use the Block ID Chrome extension, and this is what it looks like when you install it in your browser. At the Squarespace ID Finder, this is what it looks like, and I'll include a link to it below this video. But when you select it in your browser, it's going to show you the block ID for every block on your page, and also your section, and also the entire collection, the entire page. But for our purposes, I just wanted to select this block ID for displaying the speech bubble above and this one for displaying it to the right. So what I did is when you select it, it automatically copies to the clipboard and then you can just deselect all the messiness and you can paste it at the beginning of the code. And I'm going to give you this exact code. It's going to be in the blog post. You are going to want to go over to the blog post for this code. There's just a lot of code here. And YouTube is probably not going to let me paste it in the description. Okay, so please do not leave me comments saying, where's the code? The code is in the blog post. You will have to go over to the blog post. If I could put it here for you, I would, but you'll have to go over to my blog. So here's the code for the speech bubble being above. And let me just show you some things that you might want to change. You're going to want to change the block ID or remove it if you want every single speech bubble to be identical. If they're all going to be the same, you do not need to apply the code to this particular block. It will just be applied to all of the places where this is happening. If you want to customize this a little bit further, this is saying the width is 160 pixels. Well, you can make it bigger or you can make it smaller. So if you made it, say, 180, you can see that it's wider. Or if you made it 120, you can see that it's narrower. But this way you can fit it on your page so that it's not covering up anything, if that makes sense. And then, of course, this is where you're going to change the background color of the bubble. And this color refers to the color of the text inside the bubble. This is aligning center. If you want it to be aligning to the left, you just change this to say left. See how it's now justified to the left. Very, very simple. This is the padding. There is a border radius. You can see it's 8. If you want it to be more prominent, you're just going to make that bigger. And if you don't want one at all, you'll just make it a 0 and you'll have some squared off corners. I will leave it at 8. And what this is saying here is that this is positioned above the text. So I know it seems counterintuitive, but this is actually positioned above the text. There is a box shadow. So you can see that there is actually a shadow surrounding this speech bubble. It just gives it kind of a nice effect. Now, this is referring to the tail of the bubble. So this is actually just the box. Okay, so like if I show you, if I take this out completely, let me just take it out and I save it. Sometimes you have to refresh your page. CSS doesn't always automatically take effect, but you can see there's no tail now. See, there's no tail. It's just a box. So this is what adds that little tail you can see right there. And again, this is what the color of the tail is. Okay, so I'll just change it to something like, so you can see. Okay, I just changed it to black. You can see that little upside down triangle there. Since we've added this block ID, I added this opening curly bracket here, and then all the way down after this code snippet, I added a closing bracket. Okay, so like if I were to delete this, you'd see there's going to be a warning down here. So if you add one at the beginning, you have to add it at the end because it basically is just saying everything inside these brackets applies to this block ID. Okay, if you, as I said before, if you want all of your speech bubbles to look the same, you can literally just delete that and then you'd have to go in and just delete the closing bracket. You just wouldn't need those because you wouldn't be identifying one particular code block. It would apply to all of those code blocks, like the code blocks that we added. But I'm going to cancel this because I don't actually want that. Now let's take a look at what we've done over here on the right, okay? And what were the changes we had to make so that this would pop up on the right. So the part of the code that is making the speech bubble appear to the right is this little section right here, where it says top, bottom, left, and transform. Now, if you don't actually care about this stuff, then don't worry about it. Just copy and paste this code into Custom CSS and like magic, it's going to show up to the right. But you will have to know how to change the colors. And it's the same as before. And you can change the width so that it looks good. And then, of course, the tail, it's the same thing. This is where you're going to change the color. Okay, so now let's cover some different ways that you can use these. They kind of remind me of the accordion block in Squarespace, but they're just kind of a little bit more fun because they actually show up on a hover. You don't have to click anything. You can just hover over it. And so things like this are great because they reduce the clutter on the page. When a visitor goes to your website and they just see lots and lots and lots of copy, they don't read it. They're just not even going to read it. But if you do it this way, it just sort of organizes the content. So one way that you can use a speech bubble is when you want to just quickly explain something. And you don't need to write a novel here. Just put it into context for your reader. And it's also helpful. You know, if somebody needs a quick explanation about something that you're covering, they can just quickly access a short definition by hovering over the copy. Another great way to use a speech bubble is to tell people what they're actually going to get for their hard-earned money. Another fun way to use speech bubbles is to provide a pro tip. Testimonials are also great. Testimonials are always great because people want to know that somebody went before them. And then also FAQs, answer the questions in particular that you wish your visitors would be asking. They really just work best when they support the main message, but they do not distract from it. I hope you guys found this helpful. And if you did, please give this video a like, consider subscribing to my channel, maybe share this with someone who you think could use some help with this. And remember, web design is really fun, but if there's no strategy behind your website, your beautiful website is only going to get you so far. Head on over to my website and check out my blog where I provide lots of tips and advice for building a Squarespace website using strategy. Thanks for watching, everybody.